My late wife Carol and I moved to Fayetteville in July of 1990, and the council started in July. That was the beginning of the council, and Mr. Sam gathered together his colleagues, if you will, that he was encouraging to join him in an effort to bind our region together.
In that meeting, Mr. Sam pointed out a few things that we needed, and to some degree gave the group marching orders. We needed to get a 4-lane corridor north and south. We needed to get a 4-lane corridor east and west. We needed to work on the airport. We needed to make sure we had water. We need to make sure that we had good quality of life and maintain that. So that's what we've worked on, and that's what we've been able to do over the decades.
I mean, it's just great to be sitting here 25 years later and we're still in the top 10 growth regions in the United States.
Every one of our communities, all the 4 major cities particularly, were fighting over, quite frankly, the crumbs that were falling off the table when it came to securing funding for transportation infrastructure. And it seemed that the best thing we could do was get together and build a regional solution, a regional priority that would serve all communities. And out of that became the genesis that I don't live in Fayetteville, I live in Northwest Arkansas. And that was a concerted effort to bind all of our communities together for a common effort.
In those days, the word regionalism would be spoken in the same breath as the word communism. I mean, there were very, very strong feelings that people had about this crazy notion that we could actually work together.
The council didn't build the airport. The council didn't build 540, now 49, or 2-ton. The council was the advocate for it. It was the force that rallied regional support, and then it was public entities. The airport authority, the public entity. The highway department, a public entity. The 2-ton water board, a public entity that then took those plans, got the public grants, and actually did the projects.
John Paul Hammersmith was an absolute fixture of Northwest Arkansas.
John Paul was our champion. Congressman Hammersmith, as you know, served 26 years in Congress, and he was our champion in the real sense that he helped us get this whole thing started.
Almost everybody in Northwest Arkansas knew John Paul and respected him. He had served, he and his staff had served Arkansas extremely well. And he did a great job of leading us in a gentle manner. Of course, Uvalde and Carol Lindsay were the staff people. Uvalde also knew how to lead in a more strong manner, and Carol would hit you upside the head and tell you what you were going to do. So those people worked as a great combination.
We run hundreds of trucks in and out of Northwest Arkansas every week, and so getting the John Paul Hammersmith Highway completed and 412 expanded and improved has just made our whole way of doing business much easier.
And so that was one of the first things that Alice Walton focused on as far as an infrastructure project was to make sure that we pushed on that 412 corridor from the state line over to what was then 540.
Water is still critically important in Beaver Lake, and the distribution system of water from Beaver Lake is always going to be something critically important to economic development and the growth of Northwest Arkansas.
I was really impressed with the council's portion of moving that 2-ton water loop forward. We'd had the advantage in long corridor of having high quality water. 2-ton took that high quality water from Beaver around to the rest of the county and made the smaller towns not have to worry about the availability of water and not have to worry about treating water. They just needed to distribute it.
We were flying on prop airplanes to go someplace, to get on a real plane to go where we really wanted to go. And Mr. Sam and the council said, we need to build a new airport. They were going to conduct field hearings, and John Paul convinced the chairman that they should have one of those field hearings in Northwest Arkansas. And Mr. Sam and Don and Jim Blair, Alice, JB, all at the table testifying about why Northwest Arkansas needed to build a regional airport, why we needed to build an interstate link to the federal highway system.
We had no money, we had no location, we had no airline contracts. But we had Alice.
Alice didn't take no for an answer very well. She was strong in her opinion that we were going to get this thing done.
Everybody that's done it, been involved in that project, was replaceable, except for Alice. Alice was irreplaceable.
Well, I'm not sure I was much of a leader. I know I wasn't very good at protocol, but be that as it may, I think we were all of one mind in terms of the priorities and what we needed to get done, and of the need to bring the region's leadership together to work on common issues.
We knew we'd have to sell revenue bonds, but we obviously didn't have an airport, and we really didn't have a contract with an airline. All the airlines were at Drake Field and Fayetteville, and so we didn't have 1 cent of revenue against which we could pledge that to back up revenue bonds. Alice did something that just can't be done. She sold revenue bonds when there wasn't any revenue.
We were asking people for land, some of which had been in their families for generations, 3 or 4 generations. But our attitude was, these are our neighbors, these are our friends, we're asking them for their land to which they are very attached. And so, from our perspective, money was never going to be an issue. Not one condemnation suit had to be filed. We acquired about 60 parcels of land to create the airport. And it was all because of the attitude of the people who were in charge of trying to get this thing done.
You're taking on almost insurmountable challenges. Third airport in America, regional airport in a community of, at that time, 250,000 people.
Correct.
It just wasn't done. It was one of those things that you were breaking new ground and the mold of how airports are built every day. It wasn't just the council, but it was everyone that lived here would benefit from the accomplishment of these infrastructure improvements. It would improve the economy. It would lift the standard of living. It would improve the quality of life. It was everything. It was the bedrock for bringing this region on that path, I think, of success.
But we also recognize, I think, through the council's efforts, that working together, we can be so much more than the individual parts.
The council and the region and the legislatures have accomplished a lot. And I think we do see ourselves now, 25 years later, truly as Northwest Arkansas.